All right, welcome back to another episode of Shower Thoughts, episode number 3. I believe. Damn, I'm out of breath. I just went on a walk, but dude, I'm still geeking off the caffeine. This may or may not be the same day as when I recorded episode 2, just like an hour later. And I definitely changed my shirt to make it appear like this would be a different episode, but or a different day, I guess. But it's the same day. I've never done this, like stacked one episode right after doing another episode. But I definitely, dude, I was drinking coffee in the first episode, and it's funny because I was like, dude, it's a fine line with coffee. Like, if I go over my threshold, I just get so like spastic and super anxious, and I absolutely went over my threshold. And right now I'm like teetering between like generalized anxiety and existential dread and feeling super inspired and motivated. So anyways, yeah, I had a lot of energy and I just felt like doing another episode. So here we are. I got this idea for an episode a few days ago because I wanted to talk about me breaking up with my therapist. It's actually not like that. Like, it wasn't a breakup with my therapist. It's just I've been in therapy for 2 years now. Yeah, I started in August of 2023, and it's now September, towards the end of September of 2025. So yeah, a little over 2 years that I have been in therapy, and yeah, I decided it was a good time for me to stop going to therapy. There were several reasons for that. Mostly, like, when I started going to therapy, I didn't have my own medical insurance. I was actually on my dad's insurance, so I could have like gone through my dad's insurance for therapy, but the process to do that just like overwhelmed me. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna try BetterHelp because I heard about BetterHelp. This is not an ad, by the way. I heard about BetterHelp from like podcasts. I'm an avid podcast listener. And so I was like, I'll try it. You know, it's out of pocket. You don't use insurance for that. So yeah, I took that avenue. Got a really good therapist on the first try, which is sick. I won't say her name, but dude, she's so sick. And I'm so grateful for that because I've always heard like when you start therapy, you might have to try a few different therapists before you get one that, is like a good fit for you. But I feel like we were a great fit. Definitely clicked. Definitely kind of had a similar like sense of humor, similar like outlook on the world. So it was a great fit. Dude, I was such a different person when I started therapy. It's crazy. Like, I feel so head ass talking about therapy and bringing it up because I know that I bring it up a lot, like in my daily life when I'm like talking to people, but there's a reason for that. Like, I know it might sound a little cringe. I don't know, it just makes it feel like a pick me when I bring it up. Like, oh, therapy, I went to therapy, like male in therapy, you know? But whatever. Fuck it. But yeah, there's a reason that I bring it up so much, I feel. Because it's just impacted me so much, man. Like, it's really changed my life. I would highly recommend it for anybody thinking about going to therapy. So yeah, I wanted to dedicate this episode to what I've learned in therapy over the last 2 years. Before I get into that, though, let me finish my thought. The reason I'm deciding to stop going to therapy for a little bit, I don't know, I just feel like I'm in a good place. I've come really far. I've learned a lot of things. A lot's changed in my life. It feels like everything's like pretty stable right now. And it got to the point where I was starting to go into my therapy sessions being like, what am I even going to talk about today? You know, it just felt like I didn't have like a lot of material to discuss or like work through, you know? So that was like the biggest reason that I've decided to take a little hiatus from it. But also about the insurance thing. I've been paying out of pocket for BetterHelp. It's not like crazy expensive, but it is like a significant, chunk of money every month. But now I have like a pretty good job, and I have my own medical insurance. So I was like, I'd be saving a lot of money if I like switched over to insurance funded therapy. So that was like another big reason. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, it just felt right. It just felt like a good time for this to happen. So, yeah, I had my last therapy session last week, and it was sad, dude. Like, what a fucking ride it's been. Like, I started when I was 23. I'm about to turn 26. Just like, I don't think there's like a right or wrong time to start therapy, but I think it was a great time for me to start it because it's like early to mid 20s, dude. It's such like a transitional, like I'm losing the words to describe this right now, but it's just such like a point in your life where things are like evolving and changing, and you're learning so much, about yourself and about the world and what you want. So yeah, I just felt like it was, God, I'm so geeked off the caffeine, you guys. I don't know if you can tell, but like, damn, I'm going like a mile a minute. It feels good, man. I don't drink coffee like this. Like, I'll drink coffee like once a month, maybe. So when I drink coffee, it like kickstarts my heart, Motley Crue style. God, that's kind of lame. I totally lost my train of thought. Damn. Okay, I was saying, yeah. I don't think there's like a specific time, that would be like great to start therapy. I think probably like the younger the better, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like everybody could benefit from therapy. Like just about everybody. I think people kind of underestimate like the power of therapy and how much it could help them. Because I feel like when I talk to a lot of people, it's like, I think I like kind of got shit figured out. And I'm like, it could always help. But I know it's probably not for everybody, and it does like cost a decent amount of money, unfortunately. But yeah. So it's been a fucking ride. I'm glad I did it now in my like early to mid 20s, because it's just a time where there's just a lot of things happening and a lot of things changing, So I've written down some notes. I wrote down just like some key things that I feel like I learned from therapy. And I want to preface this by saying I feel like a lot of these things that I'm going to talk about, they might seem so like fundamental and like simple concepts that it's like no shit. But that is one thing I learned from therapy, is that like sometimes the answers are like the simplest ones, Like, I think as humans, we tend to like overthink things and overcomplicate it. And the answer is really so simple, and it's usually like right in front of your fucking face. But sometimes you just need to talk to that. You need to talk it out and say it out loud and say it to somebody who knows what the fuck is going on in this world, like someone who has like training and education on how to like navigate everyday human struggles. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes that just makes you realize like, damn, the answers really are like simple, and I just need to do like what my intuition is telling me to do. Anywho, I guess first let me start by like some things that I realized just about therapy in general. So I think a lot of people think that talking to a therapist means like talking about an issue and then getting advice on how to like navigate that. And that is not what therapy is. Therapy is very much like, I heard this metaphor and it's like perfect. You're in the driver's seat and the therapist is in the passenger seat, kind of just like there for the ride and guiding you a little bit. That's really their job, is to like guide you, but you are the one like doing the work. You are the one like, choosing what to talk about and choosing which direction to go, and figuring out like what you want. you know? So it's definitely not like advice. People ask me that a lot, like, oh, have you talked about that with your therapist? And like, what did she say? And I'm like, they do give advice here and there, but it's not like, that wouldn't be helpful, like, if you think about it, because it's not coming from you and like what you want. Like, you're not discovering that yourself. You're just being told. It's kind of like teaching a man to fish versus just giving him the fish. Like, you're learning like the skills that you're going to carry for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? Type shit. So that's a big one. Is there anything else? I know there was a few other things like that I realized about therapy. Like, oh shit, I always thought it'd be this way, but it's actually this way. You know what I mean? But I can't remember. But it'll probably come to me. So one of the very first things I learned from therapy, it's funny because when I started, I didn't know exactly why. Like, I remember the first session or two, she's like, so why are you starting therapy? You know, like, what do you want from this? And I remember I know there's so many reasons that I needed to start it, from like my upbringing and my childhood and things I've been through, you know? But the biggest like thing, you know, what came out of my mouth when she asked that, I said, I just feel like I have a lot of anxiety and I overthink a lot, and I'd really like to have less anxiety on a daily basis. And her response to that was, you know, it's not bad to have anxiety. Anxiety is there for a reason. So there's a reason you're feeling anxious. You know, it's not like you're just feeling anxious for no reason. Your emotions in general, like not just anxiety, but the whole spectrum of emotions we feel are there for a reason. And it's there to guide you, right? And this was like so fucking groundbreaking for me. And at first I was like, whatever, dude. Like, I don't even think I really even believed it, because I was like, no, I feel like I just am anxious and it's like a problem, you know? But as I went through therapy, I really learned that that is like so spot on. Your emotions are there for a reason. And I think a lot of us are just like, it's uncomfortable to feel anxious or sad or depressed or disappointed or embarrassed or angry, you know? But those things are there to tell you something. Like, and another thing she said, literally verbatim, she said, they're there to tell you something. And once you can learn to like listen to your emotions, it really becomes like a superpower, is what she said. And I was like, huh. And it's true, dude. Like, not saying I'm a fucking superhero and shit. And I feel like a lot of what I'm saying is going to come off like, oh, I'm fucking perfect. Look at me. Like, I'm this great person now. It's like, no, every day's still a struggle. You know, it's been a long fight. And it's going to continue to be that way. But it's like, I have these tools now to kind of help me through it. And that's one of them, is really listening to like, okay, taking a step back, you know, okay, I'm feeling angry. Why? And then you kind of retrace like, what the fuck just happened to you? And you're like, okay, I think it started when this happened. And I think I got a little triggered because this person said this, and it reminded me of a time when I felt this way. You know what I mean? So you kind of like reverse engineer what's happened to you. And it helps, dude, because you become so aware of what triggers you and why you are feeling the way you feel in certain situations. And then you can adjust, you know, like do things differently. So that was huge for me, dude. Like, do not try to, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do, but I think a lot of people try to like suppress their emotions, or it's like, oh my God, it's so uncomfortable. I hate feeling this way. So you try to just like push it away, you know, or like distract yourself by doing something else that makes you feel good, you know? But like, you really have to process what you're feeling for it to like, you know, go away long term. Because if you don't deal with it and you just like try to push it down, it's just going to keep coming back up, you know, which I know sounds very like simple and fundamental and like obvious. That's the word I'm looking for. But it's true, dude. You have to like acknowledge your emotions and work through them and talk about it and journal it so that you realize what's causing it. and then you make a change. My next point I wrote was, mistakes are so important for growth. You are human, and it's okay to mess up. That was a big one for me because I think that's rooted in me, like, never wanting to disappoint anybody. That's like a realization I came to in therapy was I think I always wanted to be like the perfect child growing up. And there was a lot of stuff like going on in my family, a lot of issues, a lot of like serious stuff, like, you know, a lot. I won't like get into it 'cause it's kind of personal and stuff, but there was so much going on at home when I grew up on so many different levels. And I think I always just wanted to be the easy child. Like, I didn't want to add to that, you know. I didn't want to stress my parents out more. I just didn't want to disappoint anybody. And I think that's the root of me, like, having this, I wrote it down here. I have an expectation of perfection from myself. Like, I want to be perfect all the time, and I'm really hard on myself when I, like, make mistakes or when something didn't go the way I wanted it to, especially with the podcast. Like, even just the podcast I recorded today, like the one I recorded before this, I was this fucking close to re-recording the whole thing because I didn't like how the first fucking portion of the podcast went because I wasn't like warmed up and I kind of rushed into recording it. And I felt like I was like super low energy and like I didn't explain the whole thing about the stripper as I like wished I would have. And I was like, dude, I was going back and forth and I was like, fuck. And I was like, dude, it's okay. It's okay. Like, nothing is ever going to be perfect in life. Nothing, you know? And it's okay to make mistakes. And it's actually so important to make mistakes because then you learn, you know? Like, I learned from that podcast that I want to warm up before I do them, you know? So I'm thinking about like maybe going on a walk and just recording like a little bit of like a voice memo to kind of go over like the topics that I want to talk about today. So at least I get warmed up and I get the points in my head that I want to talk about, you know what I mean? So that's huge, dude. And I'm still struggling. Like, it's still a struggle sometimes. But the self-talk is so important, dude. Like, to catch yourself in that moment, like, oh, I'm doing it again, you know, I'm being super hard on myself. That's so key, is to catch yourself. And self-talk, dude, self-talk is fucking key because like what you're doing is just retraining your brain. So by talking to yourself, it's like getting your brain and your nervous system in tune with each other. Because that's another thing I learned is there's like there's a notion when it comes to like therapy and trauma and whatnot. And there's a book titled The Body Keeps the Score. I haven't fucking read it, by the way. But it's all about your body holding on to trauma and your nervous system reacting before your brain even knows what's going on. And it's so true, dude. Like, you'll get triggered by something and your body will react first. And you'll be like, oh my God, I'm so anxious right now. Why do I feel anxious? And it's like your body knows before your brain even can connect the dots of why I'm feeling this way. Like, I'll have to like I said, like I'll have to go back and be like, okay, step by step, what happened to make me feel the way I'm feeling right now? Like tense and anxious, stressed, whatever, you know? Your body fucking responds first. Anyways, dude, what I was trying to say there is when you self-talk, you're connecting like your mind and your nervous system to be like, it's okay, dude. Like, it's all good. We've been here before. We know how to deal with it. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. We're learning. Dude, the self-talk like literally rewires your whole system. And it takes fucking time, dude. That's another thing, okay, that I want to talk about, like a misconception with therapy that I had going in. I thought it would be quick, like me learning stuff and getting better and feeling better, you know what I mean? But it's not. It takes time. It definitely takes time, dude. It's little wins, though, like along the way. Like, you'll definitely, like, there's little milestones you hit, but, like, after, like, 6 months, dude, you really start making some headway. So it takes time. And I would get frustrated because I'm like, dude, I self-talk to myself and I still fucking feel this way, you know? And it's frustrating, but my therapist would remind me, dude, like, it's not a straight line. It's ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, you know? It's never just going to be like success, progress, you know? It's like there's going to be wins and there's going to be losses, but you just keep at it, and over time, dude, the self-talk starts to like take effect, and you start to like, you know, you start not even having to catch yourself doing the thing again. It's like it kind of just starts to not happen as much anymore. So the self-talk is huge, man. And yeah, I don't trip on like messing up as much as I used to. Again, it's still like a battle, dude, but I have definitely made a lot of progress in that regard. Let's see, what else do I have? Yeah, dude, we're just human, you know? Like, you got to give yourself grace. When you make mistakes, it's okay, man. You know, you got to tell yourself that. Like, it's all good, you know? That's all part of, like, being human and growing and getting older. You learn stuff, you know, and you take it and you go with it and you apply it, and life gets a little bit easier. Okay, this one's a totally different like topic, but this was one of the first things I learned was it's okay to request not to talk about your partner's intimate past. That was always something I struggled with as a man. I think it's kind of rooted in like the patriarchy and the values we have in the United States about like how women should be, like purity kind of values. Like a woman, you know, should not have sex with a lot of partners, and a man should. Basically, I think is the root of that. Like, I'm not going to get into it. I think you guys get where I'm going with that. But, yeah, dude, I've been in 2 like serious relationships in my life, and in both of them, like one way or another, I came to know about like details of my partner's like past, like sexually and relationship wise. And I would struggle with that. Like I would fixate on that like a motherfucker. And I hated it, dude. Like, I don't know what it was. It just became, what's the term my therapist used? Starts with an R. Raging. No, recurring. It's like a recurring thought, but there's a different word. Anyways, it's just like a thought that like keeps coming up in your head. Like, fuck, it's on the tip of my tongue, dude. But yeah, it's just a thought that keeps coming into your head. Like, no matter what you do, it's like you keep thinking about it. You know? Ruminating, that's the word. It's a ruminating thought, meaning it just stays there and you just keep thinking about it. It's like a fucking cycle. I don't know. I think it's like an insecurity thing. Like for me to know about my partner's past, because I think I always assume like their partner was better than me sexually. You know, they had a better time, or they made them feel better, or they connected more, or they're, you know, more attractive than me, or whatever, you know? But yeah, I would fixate on that bad, and it would just like, it would destroy me inside. Like, actually, pause. But it would like, you know, it would tear me up. Pause again. That was a big one for me to get over. But I remember my therapist said, you know, you can ask your partner or let them know, like, hey, I prefer not to know about your past, like, sexually especially. So it'd be great if we could just, like, not talk about that, you know? Because, dude, really, like, what is that benefiting? It's not, I don't think, like, beneficial at all to talk about past shit. You know, I mean, it's fine, like, if you want to, whatever. But for me, it's just, like, I don't think I really need to know, like, how many partners you've had, or, like, this time you fucking did this with this person in this place and this happened. Like, I don't need to know that, you know? And I just prefer not to, because I don't even want to have that fucking image in my head, you know? So, but before, like, I would think, like, no, I want them to be able to open up and tell me intimate things. Like, I think it's good to be vulnerable with each other, and, like, I don't want them to feel like they can't share stuff with me. But it's like, no, like, it's good to have fucking boundaries and to have requests like that your partner can respect, you know? So yeah, definitely like in my next relationship, that's something I would like talk about early on. It's like, hey, you know, I just don't want to know about shit like that because, you know, yeah, it's just not really helpful for me. But I do think like knowing shit like that, I was able to kind of get over it, like, and not like ruminate on it. I remember there was a thing I did to get over that. Every once in a while, my therapist would help me come up with like a phrase to tell myself, like the self-talk I was talking about, to kind of help rewire that part of you. And there was a few, I think, that I would say when those thoughts would come in my head. It was something like, my partner's purity does not reflect like their character. Dude, I can't remember. Fuck, I actually can't remember. But I had a few like statements I would tell myself every time the thought came into my head of those kind of things. And it totally like quick. Actually, that one was like a quick change. And I was like, wow, I can't believe how effective that was. I think those are called oppositional statements. When you say something that totally opposes what you're thinking. That was like, that's been so helpful to me. And I've actually used that like tactic for other issues I've had as well. So that was sick. Another thing I wrote down here, relationships are not a fairy tale. We can create a fantasy view of relationships if we didn't see good ones growing up. So that's something I've really learned. I don't want to like put anybody on blast, but my parents' like marriage and relationship was, I never felt like my parents were like in love with each other, I guess, like throughout my childhood. I don't know. I just never saw them be affectionate with each other or express like their love towards each other. Very rarely, dude. Very rarely. They slept in different rooms for like most of my life that I can remember like when they're still together. Yeah, I don't know. Fuck, I feel bad kind of putting them on blast like this, but you know, it is what it is. Like, it just wasn't a healthy relationship, like looking back on it, I think. And so my therapist kind of explained to me, like, you know, sometimes when we don't have like a good, not role model, what's the word? Like a good example, there it is, of a healthy, like loving relationship, we create this idea in our head that's very similar to like a movie style relationship or like a fairy tale, you know, where it's like, well, everything's perfect and it feels good all the time and your partner just gets you and it's your person and you're meant for each other. I've learned like the hard way, I guess, and through analyzing shit in therapy that like that's just not realistic. And not that relationships are like terrible, but like it's never gonna be like easy and seamless, you know, like you're gonna have things that you work through. I don't think it should be like what's the word? I don't think it should be like challenging all the time, but there are gonna be things that come up and it's difficult, but I think true love ends up getting you through those things. That's what we've talked about a lot in therapy. And I used to think something was wrong with me, dude, because when I would get into a relationship, obviously, like anybody who's ever been, you know, in a serious relationship, I think you know that there's like a honeymoon phase that's literally like scientific proven by research. I think it's the first like 6 to 9 months, basically, or 6 months to a year of like infatuation where everything is just so exciting and you're having sex all the time and, you know, it's just great. Like, one common thing people say is like you kind of overlook the things that you might not be so fond of in your partner, because it's just like you're in fucking fantasy land, you know? But I used to think something was wrong with me because when that period would end and it starts to feel a little less exciting and more just like mundane and normal, I used to think like, what the fuck is wrong with me, dude? Like, why do I feel differently about this person? You know, like, do I even want to be with them? And I would just like dwell on it, dude, and like think about it over and over again. Like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Why does it not feel good anymore? that I talked about a lot with my therapist. And her kind of view on it is like, there's that infatuation period, but then after that is what makes or breaks a relationship. Because then you start to see things a little more clearly. You start to kind of accept things that you maybe don't like so much, like in your partner. And I'm losing my train of thought. And damn it, dude. How did I just lose it? That's where like the true love will make or break it, okay? If you guys are really compatible, you will make it through that part of the relationship where those intense feelings kind of simmer down, and you really decide, okay, do I want to be with this person long term? That's what we've talked about, okay? If there's true love, you will feel okay being where things just feel normal. And it's not super exciting all the time, and it's not always glamorous, you know? That's kind of the view on it that I've adopted from therapy, is like, you know, that's the make or break part, and if it's meant to be, and if it's going to work, then it will work. And if not, then it won't, you know? But definitely still learning a lot in that regard, I will say, like in relationships. Which another thing I've written down is like, what I've learned is relationships bring out all of your insecurities to the fucking forefront, dude. Like, that relationships really put it all on display. Like, okay, this is shit that like I have struggled with, but I haven't been in a relationship for the past fucking like 2 years or whatever. But now that I'm seeing somebody, I have all these insecurities, and I'm worried about this, and oh my God, they're going to view me this way, and you know, what if they think this, and what if they've done this, you know? I think that's part of why, like, I would struggle so much with knowing, like, my partner's history and past and stuff, is, dude, it brings all those insecurities out, like, of feeling like you're not good enough, and you're not attractive enough, and you're not funny enough or cool enough. Big time, dude. It definitely brings that out. And I'm really grateful that I was in therapy for this period, too, because I was in a relationship for most of these 2 years that I've been in therapy, and it was like so clutch to be able to talk things out and like talk about all those insecurities that come up. You know. Next one I wrote down, attachment is everything. Affects your friendships, family connections, your relationships romantically, your feelings at work, etc. Dude, attachment is fucking everything. Everything. When you learn about attachment, dude, and your attachment style, opens a whole new realm. It's not too complicated either. Like, there's a ton of YouTube videos that explain each attachment style, and I guarantee you, if you watch one, you'll be like, oh, I resonate with like this one and that one, and oh yeah, I felt that, and like I get that. You'll start to connect, like, okay, I think I'm this attachment style. I think everybody, it's a spectrum, right? So I think we kind of go back and forth between like anxiously attached and avoidantly attached. I won't get crazy into that, but I tend to be more on the avoidant attachment, which basically in a nutshell is like, I've learned that I can't rely on people, so I just rely on myself. And I tend to need a lot of alone time to recharge. I tend to push people away because it feels scary and uncomfortable to get close to people, because I don't want to rely on anybody, and I don't want anybody to rely on me because it feels like a lot of pressure. A lot of people pleasing comes with avoidant attachment, which is a big thing I fucking have worked on, dude. Wow. A lack of authenticity is a big thing with avoidant attachment. You kind of try to change who you are and how you come off depending on the person you're talking to. Big one for me, dude. I've learned that being authentic is literally the best thing I can be in this life. Like, when you're authentic, everything's easier. And if you can be authentic in front of your partner, not just try to please them all the time, your relationship will go so much better. Because I've always tried to fucking people please in both of my romantic relationships. And that shit takes such a toll on your relationship, dude, because your partner can sense when you're not being authentic, and it's like they don't know what the fuck to do because they're like, I can tell you're holding back, and like what is going on, and it's like very frustrating for them. And that's something I've really had to fucking work on, dude, because again, I think it's rooted in me like not wanting to like disappoint anybody or upset anybody or cause trouble for anybody. I try to be the perfect boyfriend. I try to fucking make it so that you're never upset or worried about anything, but that's impossible. Like, you're gonna upset people. You need to be authentic. You need to have boundaries. You need to tell somebody no. You know what I mean? I would never say no. I would always just try to keep them happy, and it's a fucking dead end, dude. It will not work out in the end. It won't. It seems like in the moment it's the right thing to do, but it's not. Like, you need to say no, and you need to have a partner who's okay with you saying no and that understands. You know what I mean? Wow, that's a powerful point. It's huge, dude. Even at work, dude, when you have an anxious attachment, it's not just in romantic relationships. It's fucking with the workplace and the world around you. That's where I tend to be more anxious, is when I'm at work, like anxiously attached. I mean, I'm always scared to mess up, dude. I'm always scared that if I mess up, I'm going to get fired and I'm going to fucking lose the job. And oh my God, like, you just catastrophize everything in your head. And that's not good. So that's also something I fucking work on. I'm like, dude, you're going to make mistakes at work. It's okay. Like, you're not going to get fired. That's just a big thing, dude. It's like, I'm always worried to get fired. So I've worked through that. A lot of self-talk there. Like, dude, it's okay. You're going to mess up. And they know that. Like, your boss understands you're human, you know? Anywho. A big thing that I've learned is, again, sounds very simple when you say it out loud, and it is, but it's something I think that is overlooked. You can make decisions that genuinely lead to less anxiety. Like, so simple. It sounds stupid to even say it, but it's crazy that you really can make decisions that will just make you feel fucking more at ease. Like, for example, 2 weeks ago, I thought I broke my fucking foot when I was fishing. I took a gnarly fall, and my foot was super fucking swollen, and it hurt so bad, and I was limping out of there back to my car. And the decision I made was going straight to the fucking emergency room. My whole life, I've tried to avoid going to the doctor at all costs. Like, unless I was fucking, like, so worried about something to the point where I was, like, borderline panic attack, that's when I go to the doctor. I've always just, the doctor makes me so anxious, and it's so uncomfortable for me. I don't know why. I just have this fear of the doctor, dude. And it's been a real problem for me to, like, I'll put things off until I'm, like, so fucking worried about it that I'm just like, oh my, like, the anxiety ends up pushing me, you know? But it's like, it shouldn't need to get to that point. You should just go to the fucking doctor. Like, when there's a reason to, it's totally valid to just go fucking see a doctor, you know? But that's been a big thing I've always struggled with. So that was huge. Like, just, I know it sounds like foolish, but going to the doctor when I hurt my foot was like, it ended up like giving me so much less anxiety than I otherwise would have, because otherwise I would have gone home and just thought about it and looked at my foot every fucking 2 seconds and been like, oh my God, is it broken? Is it not broken? Is it broken? Is it not broken? Oh my God, maybe I'll go to the doctor in a week. I don't know. Maybe I should give it 5 days. You know, it's like going fucking straight to the ER and just having it x-rayed and then knowing within like an hour was so good. Like, in the long run. It's like, it sounds so silly to even say that. Another thing medically, like, I would put off getting tested for STIs, sexually transmitted infections. I would always put that off because it gave me so much anxiety, dude. And it's like, sex is very stigmatized in our society, and getting tested and STDs are very stigmatized. When really it's stupid and it shouldn't be, because it's like, it's such a fucking normal part of life. Like, the risk of getting an STD, or like, it's just like getting a fucking cold, you know? It's just like you get exposed to something. Anyways, yeah, I got tested recently, and that was like, it was so not as big of a deal. It's not the first time I've been tested. I've been tested like multiple times throughout my life, but you know, like I didn't put it off as long as I would have before. I was just like, dude, let's go fucking do this so I can know and I don't have to worry about it. And it's like, wow, you really can just handle shit early on and you're not sitting here like worried about it, you know? There's a lot of, I mean, I'm sure there's way more examples of that, but those are just the ones that came to my head. Was like, when you just do the right thing that you know you should do, it makes life so much easier. But it takes accountability and it takes like discipline and courage is what I have written down. Like, you have to push through the uncomfortability to just do it, and then the fucking other side, like the grass is so much greener, because it's like, oh wow, I wanted to put that off, but I didn't, and I handled it, and now I'm like so at ease because it's behind me now, you know? Big things, people. One thing I've realized as well, so much of human behavior when it comes to dating / having sex is rooted in feeling validation. I think for like, ever since like I hit puberty and started becoming like interested in like dating and talking to women and sex, I've always used it as a source of like validation and feeling good, because it's so rewarding to feel someone is interested in you. Like, it's so validating, dude. You know what I mean? Hold on. All right, we're back. Sorry, my sister walked into the house, so I paused for a second. Damn, I've been going for 43 minutes, but I'm almost done with my list, so that's sick too. Making good time. Yeah, I think that's a big thing I've realized in therapy is I've always used like women and getting attention from women as a source of like validation and making me feel good about myself. It was such a big like revelation when I realized this. Yeah, like, because I think growing up, when things were like bad at home, you know, or like my parents were fighting, or just again, I won't get into it, but like so much shit like going on in my life and like, you know, trauma and whatnot. It's like everything could be so bad, but at least I had this girl that I was talking to, you know? At least I had this girl I was interested in, or at least I was supposed to go hang out with this girl. You know, it's like I always used it as like a crutch to feel good. And only very recently have I started to like get hobbies and have things that I do to make me feel fulfilled outside of like dating and women and trying to have sex with people. God, that sounds so like scumbaggy, but it's true. Like, I always use that, dude, as a way to feel good. And now I have things that do make me feel good that aren't that. And it's so great, dude. Like, I've gotten really into reading lately. I've gotten really into exercise and like having a good diet. I've started playing video games with Jaime and Taylor, and it's so fun. I started hanging out with my friends a lot and like calling my friends a lot and just talking, dude. And I go fishing all the time now. You know, like, it's just, I have these things like outside of women and dating to make me feel like happy and good and fulfilled. And it's so great, dude. Like, to not have to lean on that, you know, and to realize like, oh wow, I don't need to fucking focus on that 24/7, dude. And my like worth is not based off of who I've had sex with and how many people I've had sex with and who's interested in me. And dude, because like, yeah, I was talking about it the other day with my therapist. Like, I think I just always felt like I was never cool enough, or I was never handsome enough and never funny enough, and I never had enough money, or like, you know, I didn't have a nice enough car. Like, these are actually things, you know, that I think this is rooted in. And so when somebody's interested in me, it's like, oh wow, like, I am funny enough, you know, I'm cool enough, I'm handsome enough. So it's just great, dude. Like, it's great to have made some progress there. Again, like, I still struggle with that. Still have to remind myself, like, of that, you know, like, this does not determine who I am, how great I am, you know, my worth. But yeah, dude, it's just crazy. And like, when I listen to people talk about like their relationship struggles and stuff, it all comes back to that, dude, just feeling like that validation and attachment. And it's just so crazy to have game from therapy to like connect things to when people are like venting to me. That sounds kind of fucked up, but like, I can't help it to like apply the things I've learned to like what they're telling me, you know, like, oh, I feel like this might have to do with this, or it might be rooted in your attachment style, or, you know, your insecurities. That's crazy to say, but true, dude, you know. Oh, another thing is I've always struggled with guilt and shame. Those are actually two different things, and there is a distinction between them. I think shame is the more like prevalent one for me. But yeah, dude, I've used shame to guide me through life for way too long. And it's not like a healthy way to move through life. It should really be like your judgment and your discernment that guide you through life and help you make decisions, not like, how will I be perceived if I do this? What will my family think of me if I do this? My family's going to be disappointed if I talk about this on the podcast, which is a big thing I actually have struggled with, like being authentic on here, because, dude, when you have a podcast, your family's going to see it. Your friends are going to see it. Your coworkers are probably going to end up seeing it. So you just have to like, dude, again, it comes down to like being authentic and not trying to please everybody, which is something I've tried to do for so long. So yeah, dude, still battling with that one a lot. Like, not feeling shame for fucking going and having a drink. Not feeling shame for having a hangover. Like, those are things that, like, growing up were kind of instilled in me. Like, don't party, don't fucking do drugs, don't drink, don't have sex. Like, those were things, like, that have been instilled in us, I think. Like, it's, you know, it's so frowned upon to, like, have a good time, to have a cheeky little drink, you know. I've never smoked a cigarette, but I'm sure, like, I hear people talk about drunk cigarettes, you know. Like, you gotta live your life, you know. And I've always tried to be perfect, dude. I've always tried to fucking eat perfect and fucking, like, I think in high school I was a pretty decent runner, but I think a lot of it was, like, rooted in shame. Like, dude, if you don't go on your fucking run today, like, you're a piece of shit, you know. If you eat this, you're a piece of shit. Dude, you gotta there's gotta be a balance, you know, because for so long, dude, it's been like all or nothing. You have to be perfect. You know what I mean? Dude, big time, man. Wow. This is a fun-ass episode for me. I don't know how it is for you guys, but I love talking about this shit, dude. It lights a fire in me. Yeah, dude, I think... Okay, another thing. Getting towards the end here. I think I only have a couple more things, but one thing I wrote down, I believe the universe has things happen to you for a reason. Faith can be very helpful. I've never been religious, and I think this is the first time in my life that I'm starting to like understand the appeal of religion and like how it helps people. I don't believe really in like God per se. I don't believe there's like a God who just like fucking sorts everything out, but I understand why people think that, and I totally like, I get it, you know. I'm more like of a universe person. I just feel like the universe, I guess the universe like is God to me. Like, that's my version of God. So I guess maybe I do believe in it in some capacity. But I feel like the universe puts things into your life for a reason. It has like certain events take place for a reason. For example, right? Here we go. I hate killing fish, dude. I love fishing, but I hate hurting things and I hate killing things. So when I catch fish, I always catch them and I release them. And I even, like, I started to bend the barbs down on my hook, because when you have a barbed hook, it gets caught in the fucking mouth so that it doesn't come off. And so when you take it out, like, you kind of just have to rip it out, and it like ends up like damaging the fish's mouth a lot. So I started bending the barbs down on my hooks so they just come right out super easy. It's just like a quick little piercing. Anyways, all that to say, I just hate killing fish. I don't like hurting things. If a fish happens to like die when I catch it, I eat it because I'm like, I'm not going to let this go to waste, you know? Which that's only happened like 1 or 2 times. I caught a fucking lunker, dude, a few months ago. It was the biggest fish I've ever caught in my life. It was like a 20-inch cutthroat trout. Beautiful fish, dude. And I was shaking with adrenaline. It was like the highlight of my fishing career. And I was fishing with my dad. And my dad loves to keep fish and kill them. But he doesn't like to eat them. He likes to give them to other people. It's very complicated. I don't quite understand it. I think he just likes to feel like needed and like he's providing something to somebody, which I understand. But like, I hate killing fish, dude. And I think like I caught that fish, right? It's all these heightened emotions. I was so excited. So much adrenaline. In the moment, I know my dad wants to keep it and give it to someone so they can eat it. And in the moment, I folded. Like, I think I just wanted to be like, yeah, fuck it. Like, you know, people please. Let my dad have what he wants. So my dad kills it, like, right away. Hits it on the head, boom, dead. And I was like, instantly so disappointed in myself, dude. And for the next, like, week, I was just like, dude, I was so upset about that. Like, over and over replaying it in my head, like, God, I shouldn't have done that. Like, I fucking hate killing fish. It was such a beautiful fish, dude. When I cleaned it, meaning I cut it open and took all the guts out, because that's what you do before you eat it, it had fucking eggs inside of it, dude. I was like, oh my God, I just wiped out a generation, like, and it was a mom, and oh my God, dude, like, it tore me up inside for like a whole week or 2. Like, dude, it was a long time, and I was so like distraught over that. Anyways, I talked about it with my therapist, and even before I talked to her about it, I already had this like decided in my head. I was like, that was a lesson. Things are like put into your life as a lesson for you to fucking learn from, dude. Sometimes we need the lesson over and over again. And we have to learn the fucking hard way, dude. But this, dude, I'm like, this was the universe giving me this lesson so that I can learn from it and do shit differently. Like, this was a lesson to not give in and fold on my values so that next time I catch a fucking lunker and my dad wants to murder it in cold blood, I will say no. And that's my boundary, and I'll fucking put it back so it swims away and lives a happy life. You know what I mean? Or at least the blood's not on my hands when somebody else fucking catches it and cooks it. But dude, just that's an example. But I try to like look at things like that when something happens and I'm really upset or anxious or mad at myself. You know, when I'm being harsh on myself for making a mistake. I'm like, you know what? This is a lesson. Like, and I'm feeling these emotions for a reason. Next time, I want to do things differently. That's happened over and over and over again, dude. I have so many fucking examples of that I can tell you. Of like, God, I can't believe I did that. Why did I do that? Like, why did I do that again, you know? I've done this before. Like, I know how it makes me feel. Why the fuck, you know? Dude, you get these lessons, and it's up to you to fucking take it and interpret it as that and learn from it, man. And it's such a fucking superpower. I think the last thing I want to talk about, fuck it, I'll talk about it today. I was thinking about saving it for my next pod because it's kind of just like a general thing I want to talk about, not exactly like a therapy thing per se. But I've realized recently through the help of therapy that kind of, okay, I'm about to turn 26, right? Next month I'll be 26. And that means I'm over halfway through my 20s, right? I'm having a bit of like a mid-20s crisis where I'm like, dude, I'm pushing 30, right? And I know inevitably at some point I'm going to end up like getting a house, maybe getting married. I don't want to have kids. Pretty certain on that. But I'm trying to say that I'm going to be like kind of locked down. Not like in the relationship sense, but just like I'm rooted here now. Once I have like a house and stuff, you know what I mean? And I can't just go frolic and travel and do whatever I want to do, you know? And I've always had this desire, you guys, to like live somewhere else and just fucking figure it out. You know what I mean? Like just pick a spot, totally new city, new state, new area, whatever, even new country maybe. I've always wanted to just pick a place, move there, get a job, meet new people, experience it, dude. Like I've been in the same like small town for my whole life. There's like 20,000 people that live in my fucking town, dude. And just lately it's like I work in this cubicle, you know. I stare at a screen all day. I like my job, dude. It's fulfilling. I feel good about the work that I do. I think I'm doing like something great for people. But I'm just like, dude, I want to live, you know? I'm in my 20s. Like, I want to experience things and go through shit and fail and learn from it. Like, I'm so big on that right now. So that's a big thing I've learned recently in therapy is like, life is about experiences, you know? And I want to fucking experience it all right now. Like, that's where I'm at. So I realized that lately that, like, I want to take more risks in that regard. Because my therapist and I, she was like, you know, I think you get so focused on feeling a sense of security that you don't, like, take risk. You know, you've always wanted to feel safe because of the things that have, like, happened to you through your childhood and whatnot, that you don't take risk because you're so hung up on that. And I think it's something that, like, a lot of people do, is like you just want to feel safe. You want to feel like everything's okay. Like, I've got my money, I've got my house, you know, my housing, my apartment, whatever, you know. You just want to feel secure. I've got it all together. I don't have to worry about anything. But that comes at a cost. I'm like starting to feel and believe. And the cost is like missing out on fucking experiences that you'll remember for the rest of your life, you know? I've still lived, dude. I've still had a lot of fun. I've created a lot of memories. I've met some really cool people. But I want to, like, push a little to get out of my comfort zone, you know? So the plan right now for that is, like, our friend Isaura, she's going on a trip in a few, like, Asian countries. She's talked about like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, to name a few. And I want to fucking go there because I'm like, again, that's part of it. Like, I want to see places. I want to travel. I want to experience how other people live. So I'm definitely like, that's in my plans for the next few months, is to go abroad. Because she was like, dude, come stay with me. Like, you can stay with me for free at my place, like wherever I'm staying at. I'm like, fuck yes, I'm going to do that, you know? So I want to do that, right? In the next few months, that's coming up. Gotta get my fucking passport, dude. I'm working on it. But after that, I do want to start, like, trying to decide, like, where I want to try to live and what I want to try to do. Because there's a few jobs that, like, I've kind of had in my mind as, like, I think I would really like to do that. But it's just so scary, dude. Like, a career change, a move, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot, man. So that's kind of where I'm at, is I want to travel, go on that trip, and then try to, like, narrow down, okay, where am I interested in, like, moving? Which is so scary and crazy to even say out loud. But yeah, I've thought of a few places. I've thought of, like, Southern California. We were supposed to move to San Diego a few years ago, Jaime and I, my co-host. And that ended up falling through, which, like, looking back on, I'm, like, kind of disappointed in. So that's another, like, source of fuel for wanting to do this. But anyways, like, I've thought of San Diego still, you know, places in SoCal, Even like Colorado. I'm a pretty like naturey person, so I know that'd be a fucking sick ass spot for me. Just places like that, dude. Like Oregon, I've thought about. Like Portland, I've heard a lot about. Like you've got the city, but then you've also got nature so close by, and mountains, and like lakes and rivers, and like, you know, just so much green and fishing, and like, so that's a place in my mind. I don't know, man. As you can tell, I'm all over the place, but dude, I just want to travel and experience shit, and that's like something I've always in my soul wanted to do, is like start over in a new fucking city, town. Even like, it's between that too. Like, do I want to live in a big city, or do I want to live in like a fucking little mountain town somewhere and like figure it out, you know? I'm all over the place with that, dude, but that's a big one that I've come to realize lately. I've been wanting to talk about that like for a while on this podcast too. So I'll probably revisit that in like a future episode. Cause yeah, I'm kind of starting to lose my train of thought, cause it's been like an hour. And that's like kind of my limit to where I start to not make as much sense on here. But, dude, that was a sick episode. I was really hyped when I got the idea to do this, cause it's just so sick to be able to share that stuff, man. Like, it's a lot of stuff. I just think it's so cool to be able to grow and learn shit like that genuinely like improves your quality of life. But yeah, dude, I think that's pretty much it. I might have missed a couple points in here, and I'm sure there's so much more stuff that like I have learned that I forgot to write down and talk about, because I literally just wrote this down in the past, like in the like 30 minutes before I did this podcast. Oh my god, I have to pee so bad. The coffee's fucking hitting. Yeah, dude, I saw this quote recently on somebody's Instagram story, and they said, your 20s is about living intensely. And that just fucking resonated so hard with like where I'm at in life right now and what I want. I just want to feel things, dude. Like, I think that makes life so much richer. Like, feel that fucking hangover, dude. Lose that little bit of sleep, you know? Try that new thing. Try the new sport. Fucking go to the run club. These are all things I want to do. Take a fucking acting class, you know? Like, yeah, man. I've just been feeling real fucking fired up lately. Just wanting to fucking do shit. I've never been big on like going out, you know, going to the bars, going to the club. But lately it's been so fun, dude. I've been on a few trips with my friends. We went to San Diego and went out, drank like a motherfucker. Went to Vegas, went out, drank like a motherfucker. It's so fun, dude. Like, I've held myself back from that for a long time because I never wanted to, like, you know, it's again, it's like the shame thing. It was hard for me to cut loose, you know, and just fucking, anyways. All right, I'll talk more about this shit on a future episode, but oh man, that felt good for the soul, you guys. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for watching. Peace.